Welcome to episode 28 of the Liberty Mastermind podcast. I'm Jack, along with Pat and Ox, and tonight we'll be discussing self-sufficiency skill sets. So what's been going on, man?
New podcast for Uncensored Tactical. Very excited about that.
Sweet.
Me and Texas Joe are doing a lot of good conversation about military and law enforcement and civilian security and preparedness.
That's awesome. He's a pretty cool kid.
Yeah, I was able to visit him out in his badass farmstead, whatever you want to call it. Had some real chicken eggs. We shot guns in the backyard and the police weren't called. It was awesome, man. I love Texas. And I love not being in an HOA with him. Except now I'm looking back out at my freshly manicured green grass with all the chemicals in it. Looks great, but that's for some people, not for me.
Yep. I can't stand HOAs. Why do I want more government?
So I told you I explained to my girlfriend the other night. Ownership and paying for things and the government stealing your money and using it and not telling you how you're allowed to use. Remember we talked about that a little bit?
Yeah.
We drove past the state park and we said, oh, it's closed at night. Really wish we can go in there. And she was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, well, we paid for it. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, isn't that weird that they forced you at the point of a gun to pay for it, but then made the rules saying that you can't use it at nighttime because they don't want you to? And they didn't ask you for your permission, and they didn't ask you for your agreement. They just did it.
Bad things might happen.
Yeah. And then I told her, well, I live in an HOA, and I don't get to use the swimming pool here at night. I said, but the difference is I agreed to those terms before I gave them my money, voluntarily.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, welcome to the fucking club.
And Ox hopefully will be joining us a little bit later.
Tonight?
Oh,
cool.
If he can make it back before we finish.
All right. And what's going on with you? How's the store?
Store's good. Store's a little slow right now. It's November, so, or it's November. It's January. Wow. I started working as an EMT again.
Cool.
Not because the store is slow or anything. Just I'm still doing that part time to keep up my cert. So I started doing that again this week. That was very fun. It was time for me to get back on a truck. I really missed it.
I feel myself. I'm on 3 months of vacation right now. Unpaid from the military. I left the military, and the law enforcement agency I work for has to hold my job for 90 days. So I told them, great, hold it. I'm going to be on vacation, so I'll let you know when I'm coming back. But I feel myself kind of gravitating towards, like that vacation vibe where you're like, I can't wait to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of am excited for that. But I'm curious, and I'm going to keep the audience updated both here and at Uncensored Tactical. I'll keep them updated as to how long I can stand it when I get back. Because being in law enforcement is a tough job for an anarcho-libertarian.
Yeah.
It's a lonely crowd.
Yeah.
So let's get into the skill set article. Segment 1, after our meet and greet here. I will jump out first. So let me give a big shout out to YouTube, who is easily the greatest resource on figuring out how to do shit yourself. You go online and you type in any model number, any part number, any vehicle number, any tool number, whatever the fuck you want, and they go, oh, here's a 14-year-old kid telling you how to take it apart and put it back together perfectly. So I love that. So first and foremost on my list, I got about 7 items here. Well, you let me know how deep you want to go into each one.
Hey man, let's just get into it.
So, as a kind of sort of millennial, I changed my oil for the first time ever in my own car.
Nice.
With the help of one of my friends. I did it when I was at my drug unit, and I was about 23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, holy shit, what have I been missing? And then I never did it again up until last week. So my roommate now is an awesome mechanic, and he made it very simple to understand. And I watched him do it the first time all by himself, and I just watched and asked questions. And then this time I was like, just stand there and don't let me fuck this up. And he was like, you got it. So I bought the right oil, bought the right filter, because I didn't know you have to change both of those things.
Yep.
I saved a ton of fucking money. Not
Really?
I saved money, not paying for labor, yeah.
See, I really don't save that much money. As a matter of fact, I recently stopped changing my own oil because I was saving maybe $3.
I feel better about it that I don't have to schedule it with anybody. I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to sit in their waiting room. I don't have to plan as much, which is nice. And we have, my roommate's got the car jacks and the tire blocks and all that shit. So for me, even time management wise, which is another part of self-sufficiency, even the time I save and the stress I save from not having to have someone else do it, not having to unpack all my guns and gear from my car, because I don't want someone else in the shop going through my shit. So it's actually more convenient for me to do it myself, and I like that.
Awesome.
Next on my list, you remember when the hurricane was coming through and we were getting all ready to go, prepared?
Yes.
I did my own mobile generator, and I used an inverter, and I listened to the Jack Spirko and Stephen Harris episodes maybe 2 or 3 times back to back, over and over. And I put a little YouTube video up. It's on our Liberty Mastermind Podcast YouTube channel of my inverter turning on a fan. We didn't lose power, but if we did, it is a really nice thing to know that we've got basically 24/7 fan going in whatever room of the house we want. We could have kept TVs on, could have kept the fridge going, and then I also ended up sending you a nice little inverter.
Heck yes, you did.
So
and I still have to make a YouTube video on that. If you guys didn't see that, Pat was in the direct path of the hurricane, and he didn't really lose power. I was on the outskirts of the hurricane, and trees fell down everywhere, and I lost power for, was it 2 days?
At least 2 days, I remember you saying, yeah.
And then I had an inverter as well, and it was supposed to be able to handle running my freezer and fridge and stuff like that to keep things cold. And I plugged it up to the freezer, and it didn't do shit. So I did video that fail, and then Pat sent me a better version, a better inverter, and I was gonna mount it somewhere in my vehicle, and then got busy and didn't get to it. And then I was gonna film a YouTube video after I did that, but I need to just go ahead and film one, get that out there.
That was scary for me, man. I'm not real familiar with mechanical shit, and I'm definitely not familiar with electricity stuff. So I did a lot of research, and I just bit the bullet, and I said, well, you're never going to fucking learn it if you don't do it. So
right.
I went online, I went on YouTube, I went on Amazon, I tried to pick the right version, I tried to Google some shit I didn't understand, came here in the mail. My roommate helped me set it up for the first time, and we were it was a really cool feeling knowing, okay, I got my car, and wherever I bring my car and this inverter, I could basically be a generator for somebody without having to buy a generator. I just got one on wheels already. So that was it was a little intimidating because, like I said, I don't know anything about electricity, but I'm learning, and self-sufficiency just went up a big step.
Absolutely.
So I guess learning how electricity works would be part of that skill set building. So number 3, knife sharpening. This one actually made me my drinking money when I was at the drug unit and the piracy unit. So I bought the nicest version of a Lansky sharpening kit I could afford. And I packed it in my little SWAT case. And then when I flew to all these different countries and worked with our U.S. and our allied navies and militaries, I'd get on the boat and I'd sit around sharpening all my pocket knives and all my teammates' pocket knives. And then I'd tell all the guys, that were on the deployment with us, I'd say, they'd say, "Oh, you sharpen pocket knives?" I go, "Yeah." Pocket knives are kind of like a big deal in the military. Like, it's one of the few things that you're allowed to carry, like as part of your uniform. You can clip it in your pocket or on your belt. That you don't. I don't think you see as much at home. I mean, for the most part, it's your boots, it's your pants, it's your shirt, it's your belt. Like, that's your work outfit for the day. And like the one accessory that you can have is either like a pocket knife, or a lot of guys will even carry boot knives on their belt when they're working, which is really uncommon back home in the civilian world to have like a fixed blade boot knife somewhere on your belt. So I told all the guys, I was like, "Hey, I will sharpen the shit out of that thing, $5." And it took me a while to kind of learn how to do some sales. It took me a while because I wanted to charge 10 or more, and that wasn't selling anybody. So it was for free. I liked doing it, so I had a nice little side hustle going on my deployments, and I made other people happy, and it gave me something to do to kind of scratch my OCD itch and sharpen a bunch of knives really nice. I've dropped off of that skill set a little bit, but I do. I talked to Patrick Rorman from MT Knives when we were at that Jack Spirico's workshop. I know he's got I saw him sharpen one of my knives for me, and it was a whole different system, and I really enjoyed watching it. And I'm going to go ahead and get some of those. He did some whetstone work, which I did not do. So I'm going to go over some of his material again and then start doing my own sharpening again. Hopefully get better at it. Saves money, saves time, and I was at the point recently where I was like, fuck it, this knife's dull, I'll buy a new one. And that is not very good for your pocketbook. For your wallet.
It's not. Yeah.
Number 4, let's go down the list here. Website management. So I went from knowing how to log on to computers to saying, fuck it, I'm starting my website. I could pay someone an arm and a leg to do it. Oh, pour some wine, hold on. I was thinking, oh, I'll just pay someone an arm and a leg, and I'll just type up my paragraphs, I'll send them pictures, and I'll just pay them every fucking day to write shit for me.
Oh my god.
And then I thought, yeah, probably not the best if I want to make money. So I bit the bullet hard on that one. I did a lot of research, and I jumped right in. I started a website on Squarespace, and it didn't allow me to do all the things I wanted to do with like Google Analytics and tracking and shopping carts and things like that. It didn't allow me as much flexibility. So I kind of let that thing fall apart, and I recently shut it down. And then I started my current website, Uncensored Tactical, which is a WordPress website, and I am learning how to manage that, learning how to put content up, and I'm still at like a basic level, so I still go in, I just type in the WordPress window, my body, my paragraph heading, my titles, I insert photos, so it's not super crazy yet, but it's about time to get into the 21st century, so I'm going to take the skill set I just learned, and I'm going to expand it here in the future.
Yep, and I'm going to help you with that.
Awesome. Because it's time to, I mean, the content I think is great. And it's real life. I say swear words, I make sex jokes, which is the way I teach in real life, so I don't put on a fake face for people. And the nice thing about working for yourself is I don't have to put on a fake face. I can present information the way I want to. And I can be concerned about the quality of the content, not about the quality of the appearance of the content.
Right.
Alcohol. Oh, speaking of alcohol making. So this one is definitely a money saver. And then if you remember, we had Nicole Sauce on recently.
I don't remember that.
Were you not there for that one?
No, I remember, but I wasn't there for it.
So she talked about the Insurgency Fund. Do you remember that? So I don't remember all the details. Well, there's one detail I don't recall. So she said, if you're bartering with someone, right? You give me 10 potatoes, I give you 10 tomatoes. Not only did I get those 10 tomatoes I needed by using an excess of something I already had, but I didn't have to, if let's say it was a dollar per item back and forth between the two of us, I didn't have to earn $13 to get 10 back from the government to pay you 10. So so we cut that tax right off.
Right.
Boom. Tax never existed. It's just you to me, and that's it. So when I make my own alcohol at home, whether it's beer or wine, and I'll probably start doing some mead soon, for me to buy 1 gallon of an equivalent alcohol could be anywhere from $20 to $40, depending on the brand and the quality. And I think after the purchase of the material, like the alcohol machinery or whatever you want to call it, the utilities, if I wipe out that that initial cost, I think the cost of the ingredients is $6-7 maybe.
Nice.
So I'm saving $15 or more for every gallon of alcohol I drink at home.
Very nice.
So every gallon of alcohol that I drink, like I said, if I'm saving $15, I also didn't have to pay the tax to buy the alcohol.
Right.
And to fluff the government and the big corporations' wallets. And it's fucking cool, man. It's fun, and I like the patience. I like that it's a skill that I know how to do. I'm not too concerned about the actual shit hit the fan like the zombies, although it would be cool, and I do pray for that sometimes. I just think it's a cool fucking skill set to have, and it makes me feel accomplished every time I finish a run of whatever alcohol I'm making.
Awesome. I bought my dad like a massive home brew kit in the late 90s. And he used it like once, I think, and that's about it. But other than that, I haven't really made any alcohol. Like we made a batch together, and it was a lot like a Chimay. And they don't drink that kind of beer, so they didn't like it at all. But that's fine, whatever. And I don't think he ever made it again. And as far as shit hit the fan stuff, and I live in the Dark Triangle, so everyone makes moonshine out here, Maybe if I made a wine or a beer or something that wasn't corn liquor, then I don't know, I might be able to use that, but I kind of figured I would have other things and other skills to use to trade for alcohol if I needed it.
Let's talk about, all right, so that was alcohol was number 5. Alcohol. Number 6. This is a future skill set I would like to pick up. So this is self-sufficiency future. Is our cryptocurrency that we had Vin on recently to talk about. I know next to nothing about cryptocurrency. And I thought I was learning about it when I used to hear it on some other podcasts recently. Over, I don't know, the last year or two, I've heard little bits and pieces about it, and I thought, oh, that's a thing. Okay, I get that it's math. I get that you mine it. Okay, I get that it's numbers. Okay, there's different types of coins for different types of code. Okay, cool. And then it just exploded so fast and got so in the weeds that I now feel like I'm back at step 0. So now that I'm going to start opening up my book sales, my book about tactical lockpicking is almost finished. And I think I might self-publish, and I think I might handle my own sales. Vin Armani said Amazon's taken 50%-ish of all of his book sales. So he makes more money selling in crypto and selling by himself and self-publishing and self-selling. And he has to sell less books to make more of a profit, which I thought, holy fucking shit, it's 2018. Yeah, I could do the same thing that all these other authors are doing via Amazon. Or I could be sufficient for I can rely upon myself, I can do it myself, I can learn how to handle this myself, and get so much more out of it.
Yep.
So that's a future thing I want to pick up. And the last one is locksmithing. So this is something I've been doing for over a decade for myself. I guess legally I shouldn't say locksmithing. I am not a locksmith. I'm not certified, never have been. I can pick open several different types of locks. I very rarely do it as a service for others, unless it's through law enforcement, in which I would be. There's usually like a exigent circumstance in our policy that allows us to do it for people that are in kind of some dangerous situation, which happens, and I got some cool case studies about that. But it saves me money if I'm ever locked out of my own vehicle or my own house or a friend or family's house. It saves me money that I don't have to pay to get a locksmith, because almost any time you pick up that phone and call them and they have to respond, it's going to be $60 to $80. And if it's nighttime, it's even more money. And if it's a difficult lock, it's even more money. And if you say, we have to get through this specific door, we can't just get in any door, it's even more money. So I'm saving time, saving money, and I can rely upon myself, which is the most important part of this episode. And if anyone wants to learn more about that, go over to uncensoredtactical.com. I got tons of info about that. I also teach a course and I travel, and hopefully 2018, this year I'll be setting up my online lockpicking course, my tactical lockpicking school via Skype or whatever format we can get logged on at. How you like them apples?
I like them.
And that's
It's
it.
good shit.
That's my list of. That's Pat's skill set list for self-sufficiency. It's not all inclusive. It's not everything you need to live your life when the shit hits the fan. But I think it's some things that for me kind of help me dip my toes in the water and start to realize I should be doing shit for myself instead of fucking paying someone all the time to do other shit for me.
Yeah. Yep.
And Big Jack, you are up.
Yep. Let me. Okay. So, holy crap! My microphone just.
I can hear you. If that's your concern.
Yeah, it just like tilted back all of a sudden. That was kind of odd. Okay, so for my first one, I put lockpicking improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know that much about lockpicking until your class, and I learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun.
Good.
And yeah, now I kind of want to expand on that.
Happy to help.
So I'm looking to do that this year. Knot practice. Knots are extremely important, and I have let my skill set go way to the wayside as far as knots are concerned. So I need to get back into that, and just having a piece of rope sitting around the store that I can pick up when we're a little slow and run through, 7 or 8 knots. That's something huge, I could do that every day. It doesn't take any time to tie a knot, so I can run through 7 or 8 knots every single day, 10 knots, something like that. Just run through them real quick every day. It's not that big of a deal.
I recently did a whole podcast on uncensored tactical for rappelling knots. Do you remember that?
Yes.
See that pop up? So there's a little video on there. I actually have to add the video to the article. I forgot.
That's what made me think about it. You posted that, and I was like, "Wow, I haven't tied a knot in maybe at all last year."
Mm-hmm.
That's just pure laziness. Like it takes no time at all. That is just laziness. So, yeah, I'm gonna get back on that. Land nav. I used to love land navigation and the confidence that comes with it of knowing that I really can't get lost,
Mm-hmm.
But it's been so long since I've actually sat down and done that. Like I need to get back out into the mountains, and I need to pick a place and plot a course and get out and do it. It's been a long time, and I'm not hardly confident at all in my skills at the moment. Plus, that's one of the classes that I want to teach at my store, so I really need to get back into it.
Yeah, I did what they call Expeditionary Combat School. I did that with the Marines out in Camp Lejeune when I was at it was just prior to my piracy deployment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a really cool land nav test, and it was the first time I had ever taken a shit in the woods, which was pretty cool. I was kind of a city boy growing up, not like big city, but just kind of suburban America.
Uh-huh.
So that was exciting for me, and I did lots of land nav, and I had some good instructors, and the most important thing was I had a lot of time to practice that skill. We did it all damn day.
Nice.
Several days in a row, daytime, nighttime, compasses, chem sticks, counting your paces, all that shit. So maybe good wine. Maybe a month after doing that skill set training, it was completely out of my system. I had no clue what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah, it's something that you can lose
Very
pretty
perishable.
quick. Yeah. Yep. Um, yeah, so that's definitely on my list of things, very important things to do this year. Threat assessments. Um, I don't really get out in crowds that much anymore.
I hate it. I hate doing that.
But I mean, I do still work events, with medical stuff, and I, I need to be better prepared for that. Um, Ed Calderon teaches a class. I know I'm butchering his last name, but um, he has a class that deals with that and like the cues that something's about to kick off, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm as far as uh, God, what's the word I'm thinking of? Situational awareness is concerned. I'm pretty situationally aware. I mean, I pay attention to things that are going on around me and people that are around me and stuff like that. But knowing signs that something huge is about to kick off, that's I think that's a good skill to have, and not being caught with your pants down, so to speak.
You'd be surprised how many law enforcement guys I work with are not situationally aware.
Oh no, I would see that all the
Never
time.
mind. I'm sorry. You would not. Wait, did I say you would not be surprised or you would be?
I knew what you meant. I think you said you would not be, but I knew what you.
I think you would not be surprised. I think the saying is you'd be surprised, but probably not this audience.
Right.
It kills me, man. I have such a very specific system I use on the street where if I pull up to a stoplight and there's cars 360 all around me, I get to a stoplight. I look forward. I look at every car forward, diagonal left, left side, diagonal back left, behind me, diagonal back right, right side, front right. So I check every car around me. I look at my rearview mirror. I look at the space I have between me and the car in front of me. So if I have to ram it, or if I have to back up, or if I have to get out, every red light, it's not hard, and it takes maybe 10 seconds or less.
Yep.
I look. I think, where do I go if someone jumps out of this car? Where do I go if someone jumps out of that car? It keeps me alive, and it keeps me thinking about things.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many cops I see, they pull up to a red light, they're looking down at either their laptop or their cell phones, and I pull up right next to them, I stare at them, and they have no clue I exist.
Yep.
And it's not like I said in your Instagram post the other day, it's not Fallujah. I get it. But yes, there are still fucking psychopaths that shoot you because of the title that you wear.
Exactly.
You're correct.
Yep. Yeah, that was a fun little conversation. And marketing and establishing a brand. I'm going to do lots of work on that this year. I know a few things about marketing. I know a little bit about branding, but yeah, I'm really going to get into it this year. I've got large goals, so
Me too.
I got to make those happen.
So I would really like to come up to South Carolina again sometime soon.
Do it.
And I would really like to get at least an intro class set up.
Okay.
So we'll do some more badass, super secret lock picking shit.
Excellent.
We can do that whenever. I'd like to get one done before the end of January. We're about halfway through, so maybe the next 2 weeks or so.
That might be a little difficult. Maybe the first week of February. That might be better.
Okay.
As far as getting a class together is concerned, I would like to try to get the word out. So let's do 2 or 3 weeks.
Sounds
so
good.
I have time to tell people.
and I'll have time to get all my supplies in, because sometimes when I order supplies, it takes a long time to get here. So a lot of the stuff that I get comes from Canada, believe it or not. Hey?
Hey.
Dude, I went
That's
to... go ahead.
no. I was gonna say that's all I got.
I went to Breacher Instructor School recently
Mm-hmm.
with a really good company that, as far as I've heard, they're like the #1 in the nation. And they
Was
were
that
private. Yeah,
the yeah.
Tees.
Yeah.
Um, and there were, I think, 2 cops there from Canada, and that's one of the things I like the most about those courses is meeting cops from both different cities and counties and states and even countries. And that's the biggest thing that I took from my military experience was perspective. So seeing different countries' militaries doing the same operation but doing them differently, and like the pros and cons to each approach. So these Canadian guys were, one of them ended up being the class leader after the week-long course because he just had a freaking awesome personality, and he was built like a freaking grizzly bear, just a huge motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
But like really, really nice. It was funny, and I guess they got some weird. They have some weird rules in Canada that are kind of backwards from the U.S. So he was saying that they, like, you know how reasonable suspicion works for a detention stop, or they call it like a Terry stop. So if I see something
Right.
weird, I can detain you. I could say, stop right there.
Right.
Let's figure out what's going on. Well, I guess they had, and I don't know all the specifics, but I guess the guys I talked to, they said they are not allowed to detain somebody with reasonable suspicion, but they can talk to anyone they want. But as soon as they open their mouth to talk to them about a crime, they have to say, listen, guys, I'd like to talk to you, but you don't have to talk, you don't have to tell me anything, and you don't have to stay here. And like, there's this long, like, it's kind of like when we give Miranda rights, but theirs was like, you have to do a Miranda right for everything. So they were like,
kind of awesome.
They were like, which was interesting. But the problem, here we go, rabbit trail.
Yeah.
The problem I have with Miranda rights is you're advising me of my right to not incriminate myself, which comes from the Fifth Amendment, which most cops are supposed to know, right? You swear an oath to it.
You don't have to give Miranda rights anymore.
I don't know what the fuck. I've been told if you're being detained, and if you're asked to self-incriminate yourself, or if you're asking questions that are likely to self-incriminate yourself or self-incriminate your subject, you have to get them Miranda. That's basically the 2-prong test. Are they being detained, and are you asking questions about a crime?
I had a friend who was arrested, and they didn't read him his rights,
that happens all the time.
He was excited because he thought, well, it's going to get thrown out of court.
Was he right or was he wrong?
He was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They said that you don't have to be read your Miranda rights anymore.
Well, there's certain situations you don't. Like if I see you punch your wife in the face, right? I'm in my uniform, I'm in my police car, I look over, and I see you just wail off and hit her. She goes, oh, that's terrible. And you go, yeah, that's right. And I go, okay, Jack, you're going to jail. Can I handcuff you? I don't have to read you shit. I can put you in my car, I can take you to jail, and you can say, idiot, you didn't read me my rights. Well, it doesn't matter, because yes, you're being detained and arrested, but I'm not interviewing you or interrogating you, so I'm not asking you to self-incriminate yourself.
Right.
So there's 2 things that have to happen. I mean, this is not a law enforcement show, so I'll wrap it up, but you have to be detained and you have to be asked questions that are likely to incriminate yourself. So if I detain you and I arrest you and I don't ask you any questions, I don't have to read you Miranda rights.
Got it.
Or if you're not being detained and I just walk up on the street and I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? And you're like, hey, what's up? And I go, hey, did you commit that crime? And you go, sure did. And you go, haha, you didn't ask me my Miranda rights. I go, didn't have to, you weren't being detained, but now you are. So then I can arrest you. So it's both of those things have to happen. But within those 2 things, there's also exceptions, like a traffic stop, which is weird. So you can detain someone by pulling them over, and you can basically ask them anything you want, and the Supreme Court kind of says that that's kind of an exigent circumstance because you're kind of in the middle of the road, and you kind of don't really have to read a Miranda rights because it's just a traffic stop. You're just talking, and then you stop them for traffic, but you're also asking about crimes. Really weird, dude. I hate that fucking job. It didn't come with a very easy to understand manual on how to do it. And I'm the idiot. I was under the impression that it should be a really simple manual, like people shouldn't hurt each other or steal from each other.
Yeah.
And then there's probably a little bit of contract law that goes with it.
Yeah. It could be that simple.
It could be, but it's not. So
Hey, I just realized I skipped number 5.
Shit, go for it.
Combatives. There's some knife fighting classes that I want to take,
Oh, shit.
and I want to get back into martial arts again. Um, I don't know if you know this, but my wife and I met in a kung fu class in
Yeah, you told me
Dallas.
that.
Yeah, and we used to laugh about it, but we'd say we'd beat the shit out of each other all the time, and people who didn't really know us would just kind of they'd ask how we met. We would tell them that we met in kung fu, beating the shit out of each other, and
Yeah.
they would just kind of look at us like we were crazy. But um, it has been many years, and I know my reflexes are ridiculously slow compared to what they used to be. So I need to get back into it. There's no excuse.
I actually just had a friend from the military call me like yesterday or the day before and said, "Hey, I was actually just thinking to myself, man, this is the perfect time. I'm fucking off work for 3 months. I can go anywhere and do anything. I've got the free time to get back into martial arts really heavy. I used to be a savant at it. Like I was 7 days a week, showing up early, staying late.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. 30 hours a week.
Yeah. So I actually have to follow up on that first thing in the morning because there's some classes kind of within an hour drive of me, which is definitely worth it.
Sweet.
And I've been kind of teaching. I just started teaching my girlfriend, and she's starting to be a fucking badass, which is a lot of fun.
Girlfriends are way more fun when they're badasses.
So, sexiest thing I ever heard in my life. So she tells me the other day, "Hey, some of that like cool tactical stuff, like the badass like secret stuff. Can you maybe teach me that kind of break out of the trunk when you're handcuffed thing sometime?" And I'm like, "Can I? There's not much more you can say to turn me on." Oh, twist my arm.
I just pictured you like getting all excited and handcuffing her and throwing her in the back of the trunk right then. And she's like, "Wait."
We were in the car. If we were at my house, I would have been like, "Trunk's open, go for it." Um, but no, I don't. You know what? It's important to say, like, especially I have a martial arts class tonight with one of my buddies. Not a class. I'm kind of brushing him up on some Krav Maga skills.
Mhm.
So I told him, and I told my girlfriend too. I tell everybody, even with the lock picking, there's some principles. And are you surprised to hear this? There's some principles under which I teach.
Okay.
I think it's not an instructor's job to make fun of people. Absolutely
Right.
not.
Right.
Unless it comes from the student or it comes from the class. Like, I can smile, but I can't be like, "Haha, you idiot." Right?
That's a leadership thing in general.
Oh, go figure. There's some overlap there with my leadership
Hey.
principles and my instructor principles. Number two, you have to be approachable. Because what fucking good are you when you teach people if they're afraid to ask you a question?
Right.
Sometimes, come back to rule number one, sometimes they're afraid to ask you a question because they're afraid you're going to fucking make fun of them. So I don't
Right.
do that. Number three, there's a time and place for it when you get up into a higher level of instructor-student understanding. But I don't trick people. I don't fool people. I don't set them up for failure. So
Right.
I don't go, "Okay, put your little gloves on." "Oh, I punched you in the face." "Ha, didn't see that coming." I don't do that. I go, "Okay, today I'm not going to punch you or kick you or even touch you. You're going to punch these little pads that I'm holding, and that's it." And they go, "Okay." And I go, "No tricks." And they go, "Okay." And I mean it. Because later in training, when I go, "Okay, now we're starting. You're going to punch me with one hand. I'm going to punch you with one hand. We're going to walk in a little circle. We're going to get loosened up. I'm not going to tell you when I'm punching. So now you need to start relying on your reflexes, but I'll tell you when it's over."
Right.
And then you set the scene for those surprises within a controlled environment. So I think that makes people not want to train with you when they feel like an idiot and they feel like you surprised them and this is not what I signed up for and you didn't explain it and all that crap.
Right.
So I'm teaching a class probably within an hour or so tonight. That should be pretty fun.
Sweet.
And like, oh, sorry, full circle. What I told her was, listen, I'll gladly throw you in the trunk and handcuff you and duct tape you and zip tie you, whatever you want. I'll teach you. But what's going to happen is I'm not going to jump in the car and drive around the block at first. I'm going to stand right next to you. There's going to be some safety protocols. There's going to be constant communication. It's going to be a safe environment. And I'm not going to fucking trick you or make you feel like an idiot. And she was
Right.
like, "Oh, well, I'm really glad you said that." I said, "Well, it's fucking true." So I should
It's
probably
like
do an article on those 10 principles.
I hate those videos where someone takes some jackass takes some tiny little girl out to a gun range for the first time.
Oh.
And has him shoot like a Smith & Wesson 500 or something like that. And it's just... Sorry, I didn't mean to break off in a rant, but it's that type of company. It's that type of stuff that just absolutely drives me wild. You're not doing anything for that person. You're not doing anything for the gun community. You're just being a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Some people like that, being jerks.
Yeah.
So, knife fighting combatives. Yeah, I'm very happy to get back into that, and I hope you do too. Maybe we can, when I come up, we'll try and set some time aside for that.
Yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, for our audience, we have a knife fighting instructor coming on very soon.
That's right, yeah.
That should be a really good episode. I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, okay, now that's all I've got.
All right. Anything else we didn't cover or we need to cover for today's show, or future topics or anything like that?
Yes.
All right.
If you want to be or know someone that would want to be on our show, please go to our website and fill out our guest request form. That way we can get in touch with you and we can get you on the show. It should be pertaining to liberty, and we'll have a few things that, the liberty questions that we'll want to ask, and other than that, we can talk about whatever you want, as long as it pertains to liberty.
Self-sufficiency, entrepreneurism, preparedness, survival, skill sets. I think they all tie into individual liberty.
Yep.
Philosophy, conspiracy theories. I love that shit.
Yeah, we should do it like a specific, like a full-on conspiracy theory show some night.
I'd be happy to fucking press the recorder button and roll right into it. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's fun.
And just a quick note, if you haven't heard our other episodes, who was the guy that did the crypto with us? Not the crypto, the digital stuff.
Oh, man. The guy that lives in D.C. Oh, my gosh. Where's my phone?
I got it. Scrolling down.
Okay.
Jacob Horst.
Yeah.
Episode 16. Yeah, he wanted to come back on. Rayford Davis, who we interviewed, he talked a little bit about conspiracy theories offline with us. He wants to come back and do that.
Maybe we should get like a conspiracy theory like panel.
Fine with me. Like, I'd love it.
Have several people. Drinks have to be involved in that. Like we got to just 8 people smash just talking about.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do the outro music, and then this will be our bonus.
Okay.
So give me your 30. Let's do a couple lightning rounds. Ready?
Of what?
I'm going to ask you questions. You give me soundbite answers, and then I'll give you my answers to the same question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the moon? Ready, go.
I really don't think you were there.
All right, good soundbite answer. My answer is, if we did go there, I'm open to the possibility that we went, but I'm pretty sure that in some way we were at least 50% lied to about it.
Yeah, at least.
At least, if not much more. I'm open to the idea that we didn't go at all. I'm open to the idea that maybe we skated off and like barely touched foot there, but either way, I know for a fact we were lied to at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Do you have another favorite conspiracy maybe? Which one would it be?
Oh, man. like crazy or
Anything
things
crazy,
that I think
mundane,
are
whatever.
pretty real, or I've always enjoyed the lizard people controlling the governments and stuff. Like I've always thought that was kind of funny. Um,
That's what I tell people when they say, do you believe in conspiracies? I always tell them, I don't believe lizard people run the world, but I do
right,
believe that the government lies to us. So that's my stance on general conspiracies.
right.
And I won't make fun of you if you do think that.
Hey, I mean,
Because if I
there
want
could be compelling evidence out there that I don't know of.
if I want people to take me seriously, I should probably start by not laughing at them.
Right. I mean, it's all fun.
Uh, Thoughts on 9/11? Do you think that there was some level of either government on purpose being complacent or involved in the planning?
Oh, I think they're involved every step of the way.
I would, I'll agree with you on that. I believe they were definitely involved. Um, Dude, when I was a kid, my old man told me, he said something about investigating a fraud or investigating a fire or something like that. And he was, as far as I know, and all the people that he worked with that I knew when I was growing up, they said he was a great detective, but he doesn't believe in 9/11 or Oklahoma City or any of that. So he tells me when I'm a kid, he says, let me try and explain this to you. If a guy's house burns down and you go ask him how it happened and you interview him, and he says, oh, it's this terrible accident that someone must have lit my house on fire. He said, one of the questions you might want to ask that guy is, hey, were you ever on like a big bowling team or a sports team? You have any like big trophies, or like do you have a safe in the house where you keep important stuff? And they go, yeah, yeah. And you go, where's all that stuff right now? And if they go, oh, would you know what? Just yesterday I took all that really important, valuable, expensive shit and I moved it out of the house. He said, at that point you might want to go, oh, let me ask you a few more questions now about this weird fire that just happened last night, right
Hmm.
after you moved all your expensive shit out of the house.
That's possible that could happen,
It is
but it's
possible,
not
but it's
likely.
also an indicator of
Right.
foreknowledge. So I told my dad, we started talking about 9/11, and I said, I don't have any details, but okay, let's say there's a web page devoted to the victims of 9/11. And he says, yeah. And I say, well, what if that web page was created on 9/10? Oh, well, I don't know. Okay.
uh,
Do you know much about the Oklahoma City bombing?
yeah.
That one is that's my favorite by far.
Hmm.
I was a kid when that happened. I was in maybe third grade.
Hmm.
And I remember maybe one sentence of the whole story from the news, which was, we caught Timothy McVeigh because we pulled him over for a taillight.
Hmm.
He's a nut job, period.
Hmm.
Also, we're looking for this second guy. Also, biggest manhunt in the world. Also, we're going to stop looking for this second guy.
Hmm.
That's basically all I knew from when I was 3 years old. He did it. He planted the bomb. It was fertilizer. And it wasn't until my Guantanamo Bay deployment, go figure, working for the government in a super secret facility. And I was one of the only people in my unit that had access to a real life computer with YouTube.
Hmm.
And I watched fucking hundreds of hours of weird shit, including conspiracies. There is so much fucked up shit with OKC.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. And
Yep.
as I was watching it, I was like, holy shit, that reminds me of that 9/11 thing. Almost tit for tat. So I got fucking practice run.
Yep. I lived an hour and a half from there when that happened. So yeah, I was pretty familiar with all of that.
Well, shit, this is all turning into a second episode. This is a long,
Yeah, I
bonus,
know.
long bonus content. All right, let's tie a bow on it.
All right, man.
Thanks for stopping by. If you found some value in today's show, it's a big help if you click our email sign up on the website. We don't bother you too much. I don't think we even sent one newsletter out yet.
I don't think we have yet either.
And then whatever podcast source you use to get your podcast, go ahead and subscribe to us on there. That would be a huge help. And tell your friends and family if you think they would enjoy our shows.
Yep.
See you soon.